Hi, this is the third session of Primavera P6 Fundamental Live Webinar. Let us to start. In this session, we will talk about admin menu, admin preferences, admin categories, and update progress. Let's start with admin menu. Admin menu include admin preferences, admin categories, and currencies, and financial period. Each of these titles should be discussed. So I will go to admin preferences. Let me to describe it with software. This is admin preferences. In admin preferences, we can set up our software admin preferences option. For instance, we can set up our code separator, or we can change it. Also, we can set up the start date of week. I change it to the Saturday, but you can change it to the Monday according to your location and your local calendar. Also, you can specify the default duration for new activities. My system set up for 5 days, and enable password policy. This is the general of admin preferences. And what is the data limit? In data limit, we can specify the maximum number of level for trees. But which trees? EPS, WBS, OBS, resource level, rule tree, cost account, and others. If we specify how much length of each of these fields, we can set it up and use it in a software. For instance, maximum baseline copied with project R3. If we can increase it, we can then we can copy 5 baseline with single project. And what is the ID length? Project ID maximum character, WBS code maximum character, resource ID. These fields set up over here. Let me to show you how project ID maximum length character work. For instance, this is the 20 character. If I close it, go to the project ID and change my project name. This is the project ID. 1, 2, 3, 4. I try to type another 0, but I cannot, because I reach to the maximum character for project ID length. This is the maximum of project ID. I not change it, I cannot add it, so I go to the admin preferences and increase it from 20 to 25. If I close it, Then I can type another character to it. This is how these fields are work in Primavera P6. What is the time period if you want to set up your hour per week, per month, or per year? Over here you can do it, or you can want to change your abbreviation, you can do it over here. What is your default earned value calculation? The technique for computing performance percent complete based on activity percent complete, WBS milestone, or other things, it's up to you. And technique for computing estimate to complete, etc. what you select as a default. And also earned value calculation, calculate from a baseline use by at complete, current date, or plan date. You can change your default configuration over here, and when you use the report, first set, second set, or third set, what the software show you on a footer level, on a header level, and custom label. Many of you each of time in a footer label 1 delete this Oracle Primavera, but if you delete it over here, you will not need to delete it each time. What is the option? Option for a specify interval, summarize, and store resource spread. In a WBS by week, in a resource assignment level by week, you can change it to the month. And what is Primavera Professional Online Help URL? And what is option? You can set up, specify the time in the interval to summarize and store resource spread in a WBS level or in a resource rule assignment level by week or by month. You can set it up here. Or what is the rate type? If you want to rename your rate type, you in the resource tab you face it with price unit 4. But for instance, seasonal rate is the common rate on a resource. You can rename it, or price unit 5. If I go to my resource sheet, my price unit 4 change to the seasonal rate. And industry, Oracle asks you to choose your industry for users, for each user. That is all about admin preferences. But let's start with admin categories. In admin categories, you can set up your field of use in a software. For instance, this is baseline type. If I want to add some baseline type, sample baseline type. You can watch this baseline type over here. If I go to project and maintain baseline, this is baseline type. Sample baseline type. Each of field you can change it and use it in a software. Or expense category. If you want to modify your expense category or orderize based off your usage, you can reorder your expense category. Or WBS categories: initiation, planning, executing, or closing. Or document categories. Last session we talked about document categories. You can find the document categories type over here, or you can add what you want. Sample doc category, or you can delete it. You can reorder it, or your document status: not started, in progress, completed, on hold, unapproved. Or your set up your risk category over here, or notebook topic. For instance, your notes available in activity, WBS, project, EPS, everywhere. If you don't want to access the note on the EPS, you can uncheck this check mark. Or if you want to use the note in a sponsor feedback or recent accomplishment, you can use this check mark. Or unit of measure. Unit of measure, you can use unit of measure in the material at your resource. If you want to add some unit of measure, you can use this category. For instance, I add pieces to truck. No, pieces by pieces. This is the abbreviation, this is unit name. I made a mistake. Let me to show you some of them. You can find unit of measure over here, pieces, or your notes. I removed the note. No. If you add a note, you can find it over here. That is all about admin categories. Currencies is too simple. This is the default currencies. The base of currency in P6 is US dollar. If you want to change it, you should change all exchange rate by yours. But if you want to add a new currency, you can add it. New currency. Select a symbol or write it. Exchange rate to the US dollar. And currency ID. And what is the general information? I use this row to complete it, but you can complete it over here and these appearances. Also, if you want to use this exchange rate and you want to use more than one currency in your project, you should update the exchange rate, because P6 use this exchange rate for convert, for instance, euro to US dollar when you use it for a report. And the final part, I provide you some more information in my PDF file. But when you want, what is the financial period? You can store your progress or your financial achievement in the financial period. If you don't store your progress in a financial period, software use normal curve in order to distribute your progress for each month. But if you store your data by using this period, software show you both of progress for by average for software calculation or by this period. It is option in a software. But you can build your financial period over here. For instance, if I want to build financial period from August to the December, and I want to build for each month one period. As you see, these are related to my months. I create a batch and it will be created by software. 5 new financial period successfully created. These are my periods. Or every year, period ends to the December or other function. Also, you can build the financial period by your own, and you can select the start and select the finish date each 10 days. The software allow you to use financial period by your own and build your customization for each period you want. As you see, I build it for 10 days only. That is all about financial period. And our last things is update progress. Let me to open my project. I opened it before. I have a 2.83% progress in my labor unit. Also, want to know what is my progress for labor and non-labor unit. Okay, if you want to register your progress in a software, first of all you should select the start date. You select the start date. I selected before 28th of August. Before register progress, schedule your data. Let me to use another. Last session we use update progress. So activity D in engineering as a bad progress. So first of all you should check the start date and then use this field in order to enter how much progress do you have. If you use duration percent complete type and you use fixed duration and unit, when you enter the progress, the actual percent and remaining calculate by the software from original duration. But it's only work for first time. If I made a mistake and want to change it and recalculate it by 16, now you can find it's not work because 16% calculated based on my remaining duration, not from my budget. So at the first, if you made a mistake, you should put the 0 and correct your mistake. If you don't want to change budget and completion, if you want to use budget and completion fix in your project, then enter the correct data. Now if you plus actual to your remaining, it's equal to your budget and your project is on the budget. Also remaining duration is calculated correctly. If it is bit duration or it is for units, both offsetting are same in a task dependent activities. But if you want to use 100% progress for your activity, you can set up your finish date and use finish checkmark. Sometimes you need to recalculate your remaining duration by your own. So you should not use duration percent complete. You should use physical percent complete for this type of activity. It's most of time happen for your site activities. For instance, 70% of this activity completed, but you only your actual labor unit consumption is 15. So the remaining is 190. But what is the remaining duration? Your estimate is remaining duration is 10 days. Because I fixed the duration and unit together, it's happened to my project. Also, we have 2 or 3 type of activities we will not discuss. Let me to create 3 new activities. All of you familiar with task dependent, but we have finish milestone activities. Or start milestone or level of effort. Start, level of effort, and resource dependent. This is the finish milestone, this is a start milestone, and this is the resource dependent. Finish milestone used for when the event affected to the finish, and a start milestone when you use it you cannot assign any resource to it, and you have some limitation in a in a relationship assignment. For instance, you only have finish to a start and a start to a start, but it is not same for finish milestone. Finish to finish, finish to a start, and a start to finish. You cannot use a start to a start. And level of effort, you cannot assign any duration to your level of effort activity. I'm looking for original duration. If you assign the duration, but if you schedule it it's remove and recalculate, because level of effort, activity, duration defined based off the relationship. For instance, I connect it to the from activity D by start to start to activity engineering to engineering as a successor, for finish to finish. Then I use schedule and the duration created by the relationship. If I use duration again, it's calculated by software. And resource dependent, when you have a resource and your activity related to your availability of resource, you can use resource dependent activities. It's same as a task dependent, but the task dependent, the task drive the activity, but in a resource dependent, resource drive the activity. Okay, that is all for tonight, and our webinar finished. I hope it would be useful webinar, and wish you to see you at my workshop.